I'm reacting to your wrestling hot takes. I'm doing this a little bit earlier in the week because Elimination Chamber being at 5 a.m. on a Saturday completely throws my schedule out the window. But this is a weekly series where I give you all a platform and the opportunity to be able to voice your thoughts about the current world of professional wrestling. And this week's set of hot takes actually come from the YouTube community tab. However, I typically get them from X, and I ask for your hot takes on there usually every Thursday or Friday. The link to my X page, it's Twitter. It's still weird calling it X. It's Twitter. The link will be in the description of this video. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I am confident you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we upload daily wrestling content. I'm recording this a couple of days out from the Elimination Chamber, and I've already uploaded my predictions. So if you want to watch those, you can find it on my page, or I'll make it the pinned link in the comments. All right, now let's jump into it. Kane's career is not talked about enough. His longevity and marquee matches should put him amongst the greats, a top 10 for me. I would say that Kane may be one of the greatest gimmicks of all time. I don't think I would argue that. And if he's in your top 10, who am I to tell you who should be and should be in your top 10? That is your opinion. And frankly, I think you gave a pretty valid reason. His marquee matches and longevity is something that cannot be debated. I will just say that Kane just never really resonated with me. I don't really know why. It might be the fact that he always wore a mask. It might be the fact that even though he had marquee matches and was there a really long time, aside from Kane versus The Undertaker, there weren't too many fantastic storylines that allowed me as a fan to truly connect with the character Kane. However, the 2003-2004 heel version of Kane when he just unmasked himself is iconic. I dare say that that might be one of the greatest heel runs in professional wrestling history. That guy literally murdered The Undertaker and turned the American Badass right back to the dead man, electrocuted Shane McMahon, and he even tombstone Linda McMahon. Like, that guy was a menace to this planet. 2003-2004 Kane, if you haven't seen that run before, I'm sure there's some YouTube channel that's covered it. It's good stuff. When Roman loses his title, the crowd better give him a standing ovation for all of the work that he did. What work? That guy shows up once every 5 months to actually work. But jokes aside, I think you are right. And I think that if not for the appreciation of Roman Reigns, people should stand up and appreciate the fact that we are witnessing history. When Roman Reigns loses that title, when the reign finally comes to an end, that will be a historic moment in professional wrestling history. A moment that likely won't ever be replicated. And if it does get replicated, there's a good chance that it doesn't get replicated, maybe even in our lifetime. You gotta remember, it took nearly 30 years to get another champion the likes of Hulk Hogan. It took us that long to get another 1,000-day reign. And even though a lot of us clown on Roman Reigns because of how little he shows up to work, I do believe that we need to appreciate the fantastic character work that he did, the fantastic job he did of rebuilding and reimagining himself after a failed run as the big dog that just everyone rejected, and re-envisioning himself into this nasty, brutal version of himself that so many of us have really fallen in love with. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that we might just be a couple of months away from witnessing professional wrestling history. And I hope all of us collectively as a community recognize that we witnessed a historic moment together. WrestleMania 39 was the best WrestleMania in the past decade. It had amazing stories, amazing matches, moments, entrances, etc. I feel people overlooked this WrestleMania because of the finish that they didn't like, but it feels like these finishes added to WrestleMania as an all-timer. At this point, I've watched every single WrestleMania, and I've watched every single WrestleMania as part of the conversation in the moment ever since WrestleMania 19. And WrestleMania 39 is one of the best WrestleManias that I've ever seen. I do believe that it's one of the best WrestleManias in the entire decade of the 30s that they were in. Like you said, it had a fantastic set of stories heading into the show. It had matches that truly delivered. Sure, there was a bit of a lull in night 2, but I ultimately believe that that lull in night 2 was completely carried by the fact that night 1 was absolutely impeccable. And yeah, I know that there's a lot of recency bias in terms of people not loving this WrestleMania because they didn't like the result at the end of night 2. However, I feel as time passes by and as Cody Rhodes wins a title or two here or there, we won't be holding that against that WrestleMania. You said that the best WrestleMania in the last decade. I think that there's a strong argument for that. I personally like 31 more. However, 31 kind of just came out of nowhere. It was a WrestleMania that had no business being good. It was just good randomly out of nowhere. Meanwhile, I feel like they did a really good job of creating a great expectation and delivering on that expectation at WrestleMania 39. R-Truth deserves his WrestleMania moment or title reign. Let me do you one better. I believe that R-Truth deserves to have a title reign that starts at WrestleMania. I think he deserves that WrestleMania moment. I've been calling this now for a couple of months now, where I would love to see Team Awesome Truth, The Miz and R-Truth, be the ones to dethrone the Judgment Day. And I do believe that there's a good chance that that's where the narrative is going, which I'm very happy about. We could also be getting a match between Damian Priest and R-Truth. I would be happy with that as well, but I would love for the WWE to really knock two birds with one stone. I believe that The Miz needs a more recent WrestleMania moment for all of the hard work that he's been doing, and so does R-Truth. I think we can give it to both of them all at once. And maybe somehow R-Truth and The Miz are the ones that finally split the tag titles. That'd be awesome. Do you want even more wrestling content? Consider checking out patreon.com/SantiZap, where you're gonna get the reviews of the weekly shows from WWE programming. You're gonna get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everyone else. And we just started Wrestling is Cool Gaming. So again, if you want more content, more than what I already give you here on a daily basis, if that's not enough, check out patreon.com/SantiZap. If you're already supporting there, thank you so much for helping me do this on a full-time basis and helping keep the lights on and the mics on. Okay, I'm done with the sellout. Look, boys gotta eat, okay? Back to the video. Randy needs to be a world champion this year. If not this year, next year, because I do want the WWE to tell the story of the chase for 17 title reigns. Now, John Cena did kind of have a story around the chase to 16, but it was very half-assed. They really weren't leaning into the story of the chase and why it's historically significant. I feel like they can do that with Randy Orton. And Randy Orton is still young enough to be in, quote, wrestling prime. What I don't want to see is the WWE waiting until he's in his late 40s or early 50s to tell this story. Right now, Randy is very good, beloved by everyone, is already considered a legend, and I think it's the right time to pull the trigger on the story of the chase to 16 and 17. And that can be a story that is told over a couple of years. I just wanted to start sooner rather than later, because as much as I do love John Cena, and I believe that John Cena is the greatest WWE superstar of all time, there's a difference between superstar and wrestler, okay? Don't come at me with John Cena can't wrestle. It's a different thing. It's a different thing, goddammit. I do believe that it should be Randy Orton. Randy Orton is the guy that never left for greener pastures. Randy Orton is the guy that's been there through thick and thin. Randy Orton is the guy that was there through the pandemic, through the terrible early 2010s, through the PG era, was there through the ruthless aggression era, is one of the Ohio Valley Four. Randy Orton just has the pedigree to be able to say he has the record. And again, it's a storyline that can be told over several years because he still needs a few more titles to be able to get to that 17 mark. But again, I just wanted to start sooner rather than later. And now that there are 2 titles to go after, it makes it easier to be able to start this storyline this year. So I'm with you. I would love for Randy Orton to win a world title this year. Braun Breaker, if Paul Heyman manages him, could be one of the best Paul Heyman guys ever. I agree. Paul Heyman, for guys that are monstrous and vicious, like guys like Brock Lesnar, has typically been a great crutch to an aspect of their overall package as a WWE superstar that they've been missing. He is the voice. Now, he does a completely different type of character. He plays a completely different role when it comes to Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns is that entire package, and Paul Heyman really accentuates that package. Here's the thing. I believe personally that Braun Breaker is also that entire package. So a combination with Paul Heyman could elevate the character of Braun Breaker to levels that are kind of unimaginable. Braun Breaker is incredibly charismatic. Frankly, that extra year that they kept him in NXT, a year that a lot of us were kind of frustrated with because we wanted him to be called up at the start of 2023, ended up being a godsend for him, because that's when he turned heel, and that's when we saw a different range of emotions and obviously a much deeper character than we had seen before. So now we know that Braun Breaker, he's got the acting chops to be not just a badass in the ring, but to also be an incredibly entertaining character on screen. Pair that with Paul Heyman, and you might have a case here. Nia Jax is having the best run of her career currently. Can't disagree, and I'm happy to eat my words that I was saying earlier that I'm not happy about Nia Jax being back. But I am happy to say I am wrong, and I love being wrong in these situations because Nia Jax has been a renaissance. She has been fantastic to the women's division and added a layer to the women's division that I didn't know that it needed. I didn't know that there needed to be a monster above somebody that was already monstrous, like the likes of Bianca Belair, like Rhea Ripley, like those big, powerful women. I'm glad that there's something above that in the likes of Nia Jax. I'll say, like, I don't think that her character work is particularly fantastic. Sometimes her promos leave me going, ugh. But she doesn't need to be great at those things because she brings such a unique package in the physicality side of things. And she's gotten so much better at that. And she's gotten so much safer at that, that I think it helps mask the fact that she's not the greatest with the microphone. This is a great run for Nia Jax. Damien Sandow should have won the World Heavyweight Championship from John Cena back in 2013. He was a great heel who had mic skills and decent in the ring. WWE really dropped the ball with him. Sadly, Damian Priest was a casualty of being the right guy at the wrong time, going after the wrong guy and the wrong title. There's just no way that that version of John Cena, who had recently come off of beating The Rock at WrestleMania, was going to lose to Damien Sandow. Don't get me wrong, I love Damien Sandow, but again, it's a case of the right guy, wrong time, going after the wrong guy in John Cena. This is a year that John Cena was ridiculously dominant in. It really wasn't until the 2013 SummerSlam where he lost to Daniel Bryan that he showed any sort of vulnerability, because he was absolutely monstrous coming off the back of WrestleMania 29. And it is a little bit bizarre that they had him go after John Cena instead of just going after another champion that a lot of people really weren't a fan of, who was a babyface in Alberto Del Rio. I'm not really entirely sure if the timelines are correct between Alberto Del Rio still being World Heavyweight Champion and Damien Sandow having the briefcase, but I feel like if it doesn't line up, we could have made it line up and had Damien Sandow go after an obnoxiously annoying babyface that was Alberto Del Rio. The Rock being in the Bloodline storyline is the best thing from the Bloodline storyline so far. I would say that it's the best immediate impact that the storyline has ever given us. However, don't forget about the fantastic slow burn of Sami Zayn becoming Sami Uso, the honorary Uso, all this stuff. That to me was the best portion of the Bloodline that culminated in that fantastic match at WrestleMania 39. Bloodline Civil War was also a slow burn, but also gave us some really high highs. However, the Rock storyline started instantly at a high, while all the other great aspects of the Bloodline storyline had slow burns and eventually just crescendoed into this awesome moment. So far, The Rock joining the Bloodline, huge immediate impact. However, I want to see how this plays out before we start crowning this the best thing that the Bloodline has ever done. Because I also called Game of Thrones the greatest TV show after season 5, and then it went completely downhill. I'm still mad about that, by the way. If the WWE had ever gotten a heel John Cena, it could have been the biggest heel of WWE history. The promos, the strength, the aura, just everything in general. It could have been an earlier version of the Tribal Chief character, but more adept and looser guidelines to adhere to. Are you correct? Yes, had we ever gotten a chance to get heel John Cena, this would have been like easily the biggest heel, arguably in WWE history. Because right now it's like really between two, in my opinion, in terms of like biggest heels that the business has ever seen. Hollywood Hulk Hogan and his run in WCW, the Tribal Chief right now. Because it's very rare for the heel to be the face of the organization, and Cena, had he turned heel, would have been in that conversation. Absolutely. The problem with this is just the timing was never right in terms of business. If you look at the era where John Cena was far and away the top babyface, I would say it would be anywhere from 2006 to around 2016. And unfortunately, with the way that the WWE kind of cornered themselves with how they booked John Cena was far and away the biggest babyface in the company, to the point that there was no one really that could step up to the level of John Cena. They gave up with Batista because they turned him heel a couple of times here or there. Same with Randy, same with Edge, but John Cena was the guy that the WWE said, you're the face and we're not turning you heel. And when we got to the point in the late 2000s and in the early 2010s, had you turned John Cena heel, I don't think that the WWE had anyone that could rise to the level of babyfacedom, if that's even like a word to be able to characterize someone as. I don't think they had anyone to be able to elevate to take that John Cena spot. Yes, obviously they had other stars, like I mentioned Randy Orton, but Randy Orton was never the babyface of the company. So it would have just left this massive vacuum when it comes to babyface in WWE. Trick Williams is the next big thing. His endurance and whoop that trick chance will blow the roof at WrestleMania in the future. I do want everyone to get on board with what I'm about to say. Trick Williams is more than just an entrance. Is his entrance awesome? Yes. Are you right? Would an entrance at WrestleMania blow the roof off that stadium? Abso-freaking-lutely. However, if he was just a cool entrance, he would never really amount to anything beyond just being a cool, easy, cheap pop for the fans. But he is a great character worker. He's fantastic on the mic, and he's gotten so much better in the ring that, in my opinion, as of the making of this video, he has the best match of 2024 in his match at Vengeance Day versus Ilya Dragunov. Granted, Ilya Dragunov can have a fantastic match with a cactus, but Trick Williams has also had other great matches, like his match at No Mercy against Dirty Dominic Mysterio. So he actually is, to me, becoming the entire package. I don't want people to want Trick Williams to come up to the main roster as soon as this year. I still think he needs some seasoning, but I think right now NXT is cooking us up the next huge star in the WWE. Imagine if Roman turns babyface and goes back to 2015, 2019 reigns. Okay, hilarity aside, there's no way that WWE would ever let this happen. Look, Roman Reigns is a forever heel, and the only way for him to become a babyface has now entered the conversation, which is a more dangerous, more powerful member of the bloodline in The Rock. So we have the characters on the board to actually get Roman Reigns to turn babyface. However, I think it's going to be the same character that we know now, just fighting for a different cause. Think of it like when The Miz turns babyface, he's still the same evil, douchey character, but just doing those evil, douchey things to bad guys now. I feel like that's going to be the Roman Reigns that we get. I don't think it's going to be this ham-fisted Superman wannabe suckering succotash character that we all hated back in 2015, 2019. The Firefly Funhouse match is the best WrestleMania moment of all time. Zero expectations, goosebumps for like 20 minutes. Look, I obviously have a huge bias here because I'm such a big John Cena fan, but to me, the Firefly Funhouse match is one of the coolest things that the WWE has ever produced. In fact, you know what? Not just the Firefly Funhouse match, but also the Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. This was WWE at its creative best in a time where they were forced to be creative. So we know that when the WWE puts their minds together, they can come together and create some of the coolest, most special moments ever. Whether it's WrestleMania or not, it doesn't matter. We just know that the WWE can do it when their back is against the wall, and there was no bigger, I guess, monster coming at you as your back is against the wall than the pandemic. It was just so cool because I didn't know what it was. You didn't know what it was. We kind of just went into it not knowing what to expect. And yeah, we got one of the coolest things ever. That story that it told, the start and the end of John Cena's career, it was a beautiful retrospective. In fact, I kind of was hoping that Bray Wyatt would actually make that a regular thing with all of his feuds. If he were to feud with Randy Orton, at some point we would get a Firefly Funhouse retrospecting Randy Orton's career, etc. That's what I wanted to see. It's too bad they never revisited it. WWE needs more celebrity appearances. The recent ones have all been entertaining, and the more the better for WWE's popularity. They have to capitalize on this momentum. With how popular WWE is becoming and the inclusion of arguably the most famous man on the entire planet in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I think we're going to have a lot more of these mainstream celebrities want to join in on this huge momentum that the WWE currently has. We went through the 2010s getting some celebrities here or there that made one-off appearances that really didn't know much about the WWE. You don't really need to look much further than Jeremy Piven calling SummerSlam the Summerfest. But now with the involvement, like I said, The Rock, Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, I think that we're gonna see celebrities taking these appearances a little bit more seriously. And I'm down for that. I hope the WWE brings in more celebrities, but I hope that those celebrities that they bring want to deliver the best type of performance and aren't just there to collect a quick paycheck. WrestleMania should go back to being one day. As someone who is attending all WWE events on WrestleMania weekend, including Raw, SmackDown, NXT Stand and Deliver, that is a lot to do in a weekend and it burns you out very quickly. Respectfully, this is the most first world problem I've ever heard. I think a lot of us wish that they were in your position, my friend, to be able to go to everything during WrestleMania weekend. Congrats. That's fucking awesome that you get to do that. And like, I get it. I hear you, but turning it back into one night really only helps the yous of the world. All of us are much better off by WrestleMania being 2 nights. I cannot tell you how annoying it was to sit through WrestleMania 35 and sit there for 7.5 hours of professional wrestling. Dog, that is a full-time work shift of professional wrestling. I'm not ready to do that again. I'm getting older. I have a bedtime. I can't have the main event start at 12:30 at midnight. Absolutely not. 2 nights, I like it. It's just easier on my psyche, even if it's hard on your body. I'm sorry, dude. You're just gonna have to take one for the team. All right, folks, that's this week's set of hot takes. Thank you so much for watching this. Leave your hot takes in the comments here. I'm always curious as to what sort of debauchery you have to say. But that's it. I'm done. Thanks for watching. Get out of here.